Antonio. Lateness is greatness. Welcome into the building. You already know what time it is. It's time for the London Club's Carnage show. And Toby, Mr. Antonio back off the shirt himself, is not here, present and live with us. He'll be joining us shortly though, but we decided not to keep the beautiful people waiting any longer. And also, it's easier to take the mic now, isn't it? I mean, Lee, I was wondering why in the group chat you was ready to grill him, and I was like, what is there to grill Toby about? It's not like Tottenham are actually playing any fixtures. And then you pleasantly reminded me that last week he was getting so excited. Bless him, it's the most excited he's been in months. But literally 24 to 48 hours after the show, Antonio is no more. So it didn't even last that long. I mean, I'll wait for him to get here because I want the grilling to be. I want him to be here.
Oh, it's going to be epic, bro. It's going to be epic. We're just going to batter him on the show.
But moving on until he gets here, we're going to start with the. I mean, look, it's the first day of the transfer window. That means the ITKs are more like the IDKs. But hey, they're gonna do their best to know what's in the loop and what's going on. But Chelsea, West Ham, Arsenal, and Tottenham soon as well. Who have we been linked with so far? Who do we think we're going to get? What do we think that's going on? We're just going to kind of do like a transfer roundup with all the links and go through everything. And if people need, therapy after what they've read on the internet in terms of transfer links, then we'll do that as well. No problem. We can provide that here. I want to start with upbeat because Chelsea, I mean, we're definitely linked with, a couple players. Adama Traore, I didn't really pay too much notice to, mainly because I didn't really want him. But let's start with Haaland and Hakimi. I mean, first of all, I was just speaking with Corey backstage because obviously Hakimi's, he's deemed as a world-class player, and he is a world-class wing-back. But Chelsea are linked with him for like 60 million, 80 million. They want 60 million apparently bid matched with PSG recently as well. I have to say, Corey, first of all, do you think he's worth that money?
Tell you what, if you lot pay that for him, I want 80 for Rice. Nah, he's class. He's a class player. I watched him at Dortmund. I thought he's fantastic. 60, 80 mil is a bit too much for me if you're a Chelsea fan. But having said that, I don't understand why you go all out for him and spend that money. Because for me, Reece James, or you played Aspilicueta there, there's options there. You don't necessarily need to go out there, and that isn't the first thing that I'm sure Tuchel will be looking at. But you can get him, mate, and build on it, then of course he's fantastic. And I think the Premier League would suit him massively as well. We know his pace, how much he contributes in terms of goals and assists as well. So, yeah, it'd be a great signing for you lot.
I mean, Lee, what do you make of Hakimi? Toby's just coming in now as well. Lateness is greatness, Mr. Toby.
Where's your Spurs shirt, mate?
What's that?
Where's your Spurs and Inter shirt? You can reverse it back.
The Inter shirt is in the wash. The Spurs shirt has just been washed now, so it's drying.
I thought you were going to say bin. Bin, yeah.
No. Sorry, what did I miss? Tell me.
We had a little sing song.
Well, Antonio.
Of course. And now we're into the transfer business roundup, because obviously it's the first day of the transfer window opening, so we're kind of just going through everybody's rumours and links. We started with Chelsea to get everyone's mood lifted in terms of proper targets, and then we'll move on to everybody else's clubs as well. But I mean, first of all, I was going to ask Lee about Hakimi and then yourself as well, because obviously this is a player that is deemed world class. I would say he's world class in his position, but he's one of those players that versatility seems to be a big factor for everybody. Well, Chelsea fans in particular really wanted him. And I just want to ask, from what you guys have seen of him, because obviously at Dortmund and now Inter Milan, do you believe he's world-class in all of those versatile positions, which means right back, left back, both the wing-back spots, and then maybe right mid, left mid? Lee, what do you think? Where do you think is his best position?
Right wing-back for me. I think in a 4, he's a bit sus. Off the ball. I think he thrives going forward, but defensively sometimes he's a bit sus. But the price that I see, I think it was 90 million or 80 million.
80 million, yeah.
Perfectly, he's 50 max. 50 max. And do you know what? Yeah, the fact that he's just dotting around from club to club to club, I'd be worried about that. Like, I'd be really worried. I know he's still kind of young. I know he's very good, but this could be a situation where you get him in, and then all of a sudden in 2 years he wants to leave again. Like, it just seems like you. Go on.
I don't think he wants to leave though. They're under pressure to sell, and I think that's been the situation.
They've only just brought him.
Yeah, but they're under financial hardship, so they're looking to sell some players, and they're looking to get. That's the reason why Conte left, right? Because the funding was going to decrease, and they're going to need to start selling off some of their players. And Hakimi, unfortunately, is one of their highest value assets, and you got teams interested in him, which is why they're listening to offers. I actually think that he's been an unfortunate case of like a high commodity asset, because he went on loan to Dortmund for 2 years. Everyone who knows or watches football knew that this guy was a talent at Real Madrid. They loaned him out to Dortmund for 2 years. He smashes it 2 years on the trot at Dortmund, even with injuries as well. Everyone thought Real Madrid were going to keep him, but as we've seen in recent years, Real Madrid are about making a big profit off some of their younger players or academy players. So they sold him to Inter for big money. Inter are under financial hardship now. He's one of their high value assets, so they're selling him off again. I don't really see why Chelsea. I mean, Hakimi is a player that if he's available, I get it, but I don't really see why Chelsea are going hell for leather for him. What does that say about your current options now in Ben Chilwell, who you spent 50 million on last season, or Reece James, who essentially is your academy poster boy that's meant to literally dominate that right flank for years to come? I think if you sign Hakimi, he has to be a starter for me. And he's better than Reece James and Chilwell. So what happens there?
This is where the debate comes in for me, right? Because Hakimi's world class going forward, absolutely world class. We can see it by the numbers, you can see it by the eye test. It's not a debate. As a wing back, he would be the best in the squad, bar none. Now, if we're going, this for me shows a massive, not only leap of faith, but long-term building under Tuchel. Because if you're going to buy Hakimi, you have to stick with this formation, in my opinion. Because if you go to a back four, it becomes very hairy. Because I don't think he's better defensively in a back four than Reece James, and I don't think he's better defensively in a back four than Chilwell. But for that amount of money, you would expect him to be starting the majority of your games. So he can't come in to be a backup right back and left back kind of player. So to sign someone of that amount of money to play in really what is just the two positions that we've mentioned, wing back, because I don't think he's really a winger or left or right back at a world-class level that demands that fee. This is where Chelsea fans will get conflicted. I'm not saying that he can't play these positions, but is he world-class in those positions? That's what you have to ask yourself. Because we've had, Chelsea, we bought Timo Werner and we said he was versatile. He could play left wing, he could play striker. Turns out he can't play left wing. He can't really play striker against most opposition unless it's a high line. Take Kai Havertz, for example, another player that was really versatile. I still believe he is, but it's very clear that right now we need to see him in this one position, which is either the false nine or the second striker, not on the right wing for Chelsea, although he played there for Germany. So sometimes when we say these players are versatile, what is the level of quality we're getting in these positions is really important. And like you said as well, Reece James. I mean, unless Reece James is moving to right side centre back, I don't really get it in terms of that.
Yeah, I think with Hakimi, it's an interesting one as well, because he can be suspect defensively, but he is rapid. So he has recovery pace. He's young. He's still developing, and I think, of course, it helps that Inter have a stable back line. But I think he did okay defensively there. Like he had some hairy moments at Dortmund defensively, but for me personally, a player like Hakimi, you take them with their flaws because of what they're exceptionally good at. Like for me, if I'm looking at Hakimi, yes, we can talk about his defending, but I'm looking at what this guy's going to offer my team going forward. He's going to score goals, he's going to create goals, and he's just going to be an absolute demon on that right-hand side. So Hakimi, for me, is a player that you cater for in your team. You identify his weaknesses and you cater for and help work on those weaknesses. Look at Trent Alexander-Arnold, for instance. We've spoken about this a million times. The similar sort of situation. Exceptional going forward, not that great defensively. But you take them with their flaws because of the thing that they're good at. Not many can do it as good as them on the planet. How many right wing backs can play like Hakimi in 2021? How many? Not many.
Not many at all. The pros definitely outweigh the cons, 100%. I'm thinking, long term, it would definitely mean Reece James would have to play that right side centre back position, which we've seen him do towards the end of the season. Because I've always said this as well. I don't believe 21, 22-year-olds can compete for the same position for many years before someone gets unsettled and needs to be sold. That's why you see Man City with Gabriel Jesus and Aguero. That's why you see David Silva with Foden. That transition, that's for the Reece James. Those transitions are important. Giroud as well, with Tammy.
I'm desperate for PSG to just chuck another 10 million on top and give Hakimi double the wages, because I cannot have Hakimi. Son. You can't have. I think if you get Hakimi, you're already a bit of a cheat team. But if you get Hakimi, your status is solidified, because I think it's disgraceful that you have Hakimi and Reece James as your right-sided options. I think that's cheating. That is level. That's cheating.
Is that how the rest of you guys are seeing that from a rival perspective?
That's cheating, bro.
100%. You know, I think Chelsea get out of it a little bit compared to Man City when they talk about squad depth. But if you bring in Hakimi, we've got to start talking about you as the Man City where you've got so many options. And like, I was thinking, if to bring in Hakimi, surely you've got to get rid of someone. But maybe Tuchel doesn't. He's in so many competitions. He can swap Reece James. I think it'd be a bit of a miss for Reece James, to be honest, to be playing at right-sided centre-back. I know he can do it, but his delivery is unreal. Hakimi will stretch it more than Reece will, but then you lose his. But then he's got options, and I wonder whether Tuchel's just prepping to compete on all fronts next year. I can see it already. He's going to go for every single trophy. I'm going to hate every single minute of it.
If this happens, just before I read out the super chat, if this happens, two things need to happen. Tuchel needs to be here for the long term, because this formation then needs to be the formation for the long term. We can't see a situation where Tuchel's sacked at the end of next season or mid-season, and then we have to change to a back four, because then. Not Hakimi becomes completely useless, but it does become a very "what are you doing" type signing. Where's the planning kind of thing here? Because Chelsea do have a lot of options out there.
Not necessarily. I get what you're saying, but he's played in the back four before. I remember. I think he even made his. He made one of his. I think he made his. I was there in Spain when he made his Champions League debut against us at right back for Real Madrid when they play a back four, and. It was a good battle between him and Vertonghen, who played left back that day.
I get that, but you don't. If you're playing a back, say you're a Tottenham fan, right, and you've got Reece James at right back in a back four, you don't sign Hakimi, do you? In a back four, strictly.
Of course, I'd sign him.
So you'd sign Hakimi knowing you have Reece James in a back four.
Oh,
so you have them. Do you see what I'm saying? You would, you wouldn't.
You sign him for Spurs. Of course, I'd sign him for Spurs. That right.
Let's be real. Why would you want to join your dead club, bro?
Did you just get outbid by Aston Villa for?
Yeah, I'm buzzing because I didn't want Brendia.
Yeah, but what does that say about your club? You can be buzzing, but what does that say about your club, bro?
Well, it just says that our fan base has lowered the standards over the last 15 years to the point where we're now getting outbid by Villa.
I think that's the powers that be. I'm
going to read a couple of super chats because I can tell this is going to turn into an argument, and I want to be in it. I want to be involved. Hakimi is only worth 50 max, but only at right wing back, not anywhere else. So if we're going to stick with the formation and it doesn't affect any striker pursuit, I'll take it. I agree. It's definitely not a priority. I still believe a priority in this team is striker and then DM, and then you can get fancy with it, as I've said before. So I don't believe Hakimi's a priority. But...
Question. Why is Hakimi only worth 50 million max? Ben Chilwell cost 50
I wouldn't
million.
agree with that, because Chilwell was 50 million. And
50
I've
million.
seen... Yeah.
Chilwell was English tax.
Doesn't matter.
Chilwell 35 million max. Really.
Yeah, exactly. But they paid... That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you're right.
50 million max. They ain't worth more than 50 million quid.
Morning to you guys from the States. Hakimi and James would be lethal. I must say as well, as much as Chelsea fans, we like to paint this picture of Hakimi at right wing back and James at right side centre back. You probably, if Hakimi is signed, you'll see Azpilicueta or Christensen at right side centre back more often than Reece James, because those two are more defensively not switched on, because James is pretty defensively switched on when he wants to be against Sterling, but they are the defensive, like more defensive players in that position. And Hakimi, as we've already spoken about, is extremely attacking. So you wouldn't actually, unless you're playing against, you know, bottom 5, bottom 6, bottom 7 in the league at home, you wouldn't probably always go with James behind Hakimi. So there's going to be a lot of rotation in that respect to right side centre back if you're signing a player like Hakimi. Maybe Reece could go into midfield. That is something I personally do not want to see. I'm not going to lie.
What is it? Man, them think this is Wigan in League One, where Reece James is just running amok in midfield and just scoring screamers. This is the Premier League, baby. Come on, come on, the Premier League.
Oh, appreciate
that midfield nonsense. Let him play at right back, where he's actually putting in monster performances, or right wing back.
Santana says, "Is Hakimi strictly a wing back, or is he a right, or can he play right back?" I think what we've agreed on is he can play right back, but you don't tend to send a 22-year-old Hakimi at right back if you have a 21-year-old Reece James. It doesn't really make any sense in terms of squad building. So you have to play him up.
How old is Livramento as well? Because I hear all your Chelsea, I hear all the little virgins in your fan base screaming.
Why do you keep calling them this? These poor people.
They are.
Some of them are grown men with wives and kids. What are you doing?
If some of them are grown men with wives and kids, then what they're doing is very sad. So,
why is Toby always taking shots?
Yeah, of course. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. Anyway, but yeah. I've heard good things about Livramento from Chelsea fans and non-Chelsea fans. So, I mean, what does that say about his pathway to the first team? If you bring in Hakimi, is the whole Chelsea are giving chances to youth players short-lived now? Because remember, your fan base are jumping on this bandwagon now as if Chelsea have just completely revolutionized English football and are the only team with academy players, Champions League winners, etc., doing things that Man United, Arsenal, and other clubs have been doing for years. But obviously with Chelsea, it has to be lauded as some sort of mad achievement. So what I'm saying to you is, if you sign Hakimi,
Arsenal's not been winning the big prizes with young players.
I'm not talking about winning the big prizes. I'm talking about giving first team. I'm talking about giving academy players roles in the first team.
This has been happening. This has been happening.
Your young guy go to Villarreal in the Europa League.
What's that?
Didn't your young guy, Juan Foyth, go to Villarreal on loan and win the Europa League? Why didn't he get in the team? Why didn't he get in your team?
He's not our academy player though, and Foyth is not.
Because the only academy player I see that's actually come through your team is Harry Winks.
Harry Kane.
Who else has come through?
Kane did come from us. I didn't mention.
Did he come from ours? What are you talking about?
Oh my god!
Listen to I'm not going to back because you know what's crazy. I didn't even mention Spurs. I said Arsenal.
No, but you were mentioning all these teams, and you were saying, is that now blocking the guy? I can't remember his name. Getting into the team, and you mentioned like, well, hang on, who's blocking all your youth then? What youth? Just as bad as ours.
Youth, exactly.
Exactly. I'm asking which youth players specifically.
Well, I don't know. You tell me.
because Skipper's coming into the first team next season. Sessegnon, who isn't our academy, even from our academy, he's coming back.
He even played for you. I can't lie.
He's coming back. He's going to be part of the first team next season.
I hope so. He's talented.
Dane Scarlett got a couple minutes in the Europa League. He's going to be getting some minutes next season as well. So,
do you actually believe what you're saying here?
I do believe what I'm saying here because what I'm saying isn't uncommon or
no, it is because, and the reason I'm saying that is because when was the last time Tottenham actually put a series of youth teamers that have come through their academy into their starting 11s consistently? The only one is Harry Winks.
Harry Kane, bro. Stop saying
Harry Kane.
Stop saying Harry Winks. Harry Kane was with the club from about 9 or 10 years old.
He still came through our academy.
He's our academy player.
We gave him that Arsenal DNA, bruv. At the time,
Kane's balls hadn't even dropped when he was giving and you're kind of claiming he's our academy player. And second of all, I am not saying that these players are going to be playing week in, week out. I said they're gonna be brought into first team contention.
Yeah, on that basis, which is why I pulled you up on it. Yeah, what's to stop this guy at Chelsea not getting games then?
Because
let me weigh in, right?
You have Hakimi and Reece James there.
So let me weigh in because Hakimi is 22 years old and Reece James is 21. I believe. Now, Tariq Lamptey left Chelsea for the same reason that he was competing with Reece James. And I keep saying that you're not going to have young players competing for the same position, especially a position in defence that's not really meant to be rotated if you're a title-winning side. You don't tend to rotate your fullbacks or defenders that much unless you're Man City and you've got injury issues with Mendy. But you don't go out in search of a title to rotate defenders. You mainly want to rotate attackers, wingers, whatever, cool. So Livramento, the point that Toby's making is, and I somewhat agree with it, even though this is my stance on the situation. I want Tuchel to be backed, and if he wants Hakimi, and it's after, and we've got the striker and DM, which I think are the priorities, then go and get Hakimi. But the point that he's making about Livramento is correct, because Livramento is a very, very talented right wing back, and he's won Young Player of the Year, and he is very talented. I don't believe he's been overhyped yet, or he's been underhyped. I think he's getting his credit so far. And it's the same situation that happened with Tariq Lamptey. And as soon as Tariq Lamptey went to Brighton, Chelsea fans were up in arms. Now, I'm not saying don't sign Hakimi because we've got Livramento. Of course not, because we haven't even seen Livramento play a game yet. He hasn't played any minutes. And that transition from youth football to senior football is unheard of. We don't know what's going to happen, especially as we've seen Dominic Solanke had Tammy Abraham out on the right wing in the academy. And then now where's Solanke exactly? So, but what his point is that, and my point is as well, is that this is not a priority signing, in my opinion, because you've got Reece James, because you've got even Callum Hudson-Odoi who can play there, and you've got Timo Livramento coming through the ranks who in a couple of years could be your solution in this role as well. So that's why, for me, this is not a priority signing. But, you know, if you got the money, you spend it. You do what you want when you're popping, bro. If I was a Chelsea fan and I saw all these options there, but I said, I could have Hakimi as well, I'd consider it. I'd probably even be egging it on. But me personally, I don't want to see Hakimi at your club. I just can't have that happen. He has to go to PSG. Please, God, he has to go to PSG. Has to. No, I would love it. They actually need a right. They actually need a right-sided option as well, because that spot is screaming out for someone to literally. They need a right-sided, a permanent right-sided option and a permanent left-sided option as well, because they have Florenzi that plays right back at time for them, or KR or whatever. Man, they need Inter. I mean PSG. They need to just push this move through. I would more than love the deal before we move on to Arsenal, and we'll move on. We'll leave Haaland until later just to balance out a little bit. But we have to stick with this formation if we're bringing him in my opinion. And a wing back is a very exhausting position as well. So to have Chilwell, Reece James, and Hakimi rotating wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. If you're playing as many games we're going to have to play next season, I think we're in like 7 competitions. If you include the 1 Super Cup game and the Club World Cup. So there's a lot of games to be played. So as long as we stick with the formation and you've bought a striker and a DM, then I think getting Hakimi is good business. Just to finish up on this with these super chats, Aspie is aging. Both Hakimi and Reece James are ballers and shows we're planning for the future. Reece James, right wing back, right side centre back, left back DM. He's not a left back, and he hasn't played DM in the Premier League, so I'll just take the first 3 positions in terms of versatility. And then Hakimi, right wing back, left wing back, right mid. Right mid and right wing back in this team is the same position. Left wing back, I agree with. Right back, you've got Reece James. You wouldn't buy Hakimi as a right back for Reece James, in my opinion. Alex, Tomori, Tammy, Loftus-Cheek. Oh my goodness. Moses, Ross, Emerson, Zuma. Jesus Christ, we've got a lot of Deadwood. Champions League prize money, Roman's son's pocket money, Haaland, Hakimi, Rice, top centre-back, Guehi, Sarr is an option. All right, sounds like someone splashing the cash before they've even been given the check. I want to move on to Arsenal's, because Toby mentioned it, and I did find it quite hilarious.
You're talking about Conte?
We haven't. Do you want to talk about it? I thought I was kind of going to save you of the trauma, but if you want to talk about it.
I want to talk about it.
Oh, wow. Therapy is in session.
We're going to get our popcorn, Corey. Let's go and get our popcorn.
See you in a minute.
Take it away. Therapy is in session.
Let's talk about it, because honestly, our ownership is actually, it's shambles is putting it kindly. It's the biggest understatement ever. Like I've been saying it a million times. The sheer arrogance of Daniel Levy and whoever it is that run our negotiations, that they can even dare approach a manager who is in the peak of his powers, who's just won a league title at Inter Milan, to bend to their expectations of how they want the club managed. Do you see how thick and insane that is? This club that not won anything in 13 years, you're telling a guy who's won 5 league titles in 7 years to come to your club and scale back on his demands, his same demands that caused him to leave a club he just won a league title with at Inter Milan. Do you know how insane that is?
I heard they didn't want to give him all the staff that he wanted, like 7 staff members. They said limit it to 3.
It's not just the staff. It's not just the staff. It was the staff, the funding, and the appetite to actually sort of refresh the team.
That's the Tottenham.
Do you know what I found more interesting was, I don't know if you saw the Athletic come out and they said that the players weren't keen on the demands that Conte would have. Like, who are these players? Like, every time I get a new manager in, they're just like, I don't fancy doing it.
Bro, who are these fucking bums?
I don't know. Look, they're your lot. But
change.
It makes me die. It makes me die that these Tottenham players are sitting around thinking they're what's what, and then they've had Mourinho, albeit I know he's on a bit of a slide, and Conte come in, and they're like, do you know what? I don't really fancy it. What are you doing there? Like, what's the point? You do not want to win anything. They've just got it cushy at Spurs, and the fact that the board bottled it as well on Conte, which they did, to be fair. I'd say I feel for you, Toby. I don't, because obviously I want to do badly. But it's a rough situation, because when you've got a manager like that and you can get him, and they haven't gone the extra mile to do it, then you're in the mud.
100%. And it's like Conte wasn't even a thought in my head. Like, I didn't even consider him as an option for the job, because I just thought it was so far from the realms of possibility. Because why is he going to even consider coming to this job when we're in the 3rd tier competition and our best player wants to leave? But the fact that he was actually interested, which was confirmed by credible sources and was in advanced talks and laid out his demands for and conditions upon him joining the club, to them leading us to believe that it was done or virtually done. Like, from when Alistair Gold is coming out and saying, yep, this deal was likely to go through, etc., etc. A man was on holiday, came off from his annual leave to report, because that's how big the news was. We all thought it was happening, and then poof, it disappears. And it's a classic. It's the classic case with Spurs now. You have an ownership who are comfortable knowing that this club will do enough to keep the money coming in, but they don't really need to spend any more money to make the club actually competitive. That's one. Then you have.
That is such a super chat, man.
Quality, yeah. Then you have Corey. He's hitting on the head. So many players who are fucking cushy. Like, they are living life. They know that this club have no appetite to sell them. Oh, we'll still give you 1 more year, 1 more. Oh, he's one of our own. 1 more Dele Alli, 1 more X, Y, and Z. We've got so many players who are comfortable in this team now, and it's a shambles. It's an utter shambles. And I'm happy to a certain extent that this Conte deal has exposed the lack of competitiveness and drive and hunger that this ownership have to make this club better. Because if they really wanted to make the club better, you will do everything in your power to get Conte, but you don't. You don't want.
Do you know what I suggest? Maybe phone up the Ed Sheeran lookalike and get the banjo back out.
get the band back together.
You know what?
Get it back together.
Give me an Aston Villa chant. What's the Aston Villa chant? What I wonder what they're going to be chanting about Buendia next season. When
you know what's so funny?
Bang average, stat pads in the Championship. Well done, mate.
No.
You've not got a single player in your squad better than Buendia right now.
Hold on.
I remember last year, everyone jizzing their knickers over Ben Rama. Yeah. Oh, he's fucking this. Oh, he's so techie. He's so good. Oh, yeah. 1 Premier League goal. Yeah.
No, hold on. Let's hold the energy. Let's give him time because we gave Pepe time, didn't we?
Hold on. Everyone's going, oh, but he's added goals to his game. Yeah, he also added 40 Championship games to his game as well.
All right.
Yeah.
So
if you put Pepe in the Championship, he would have scored record figures, mate. Yeah. So people want to sit there and say, oh, Pepe's so frustrating. He don't do it week in, week out. Well, did you see this guy in the Premier League? Oh, but he played Norwich, yeah? Joe Willock fucking equaled Alan Shearer's record.
Okay, hold on.
Lee. Fair enough. If you want to look at it,
no, I don't even agree with that argument because he was good at Norwich.
If you want to look at it,
what?
He created so many chances.
Hold on. Let me just rewind you a minute, yeah? I'm not one of these that goes off of created chances. Do you know why? I whip a corner into
he
you.
He doesn't take corners. He didn't.
He takes every set piece.
I don't think he was really taking corners in the Premier League that much.
Lee,
go and have a look at his stats from open play in the Premier League. It's nowhere near where it was.
Lee,
he created 70 chances in the Premier League. I've got this up here, mate. He created 70 chances in the Premier League. Most of them were from set pieces. If I'm taking every corner and you're heading it over the bar every time, that's a created chance. Fuck that, man. Let Aston Villa have him.
You're gonna see. The thing is, you're gonna see how good this guy is for Aston Villa, because this is a guy who I said this to a couple of my
Is that good, Toby? Yeah, 2 mid-table teams wanted him. That's it. He's that great.
I wanted him last summer.
Well, first of all, the mid-table wasn't bad.
I wanted him last summer when they got relegated. People were talking about Todd Cantwell. Fuck Todd Cantwell. I wanted Buendia. Because the guy, the guy is good at creating chances.
But Lee, how many times?
The team that finished 8th and the team that finished 10th or 11th.
Okay, but how many times have we said on this show that mid-table teams' recruitment, like Southampton, like Villa, like Leicester when they were mid-table, is actually better than some of the teams at the top 4 in the table who really just tend to chase for the big names and don't do proper scouting? So,
that's a fair point. But at the same time, 40 million quid that's going to go to. They're smoking crack.
We paid 40 million.
40 million on Joe Linton at Newcastle.
Well, you've just totally killed your own argument.
I'm just saying that the market's clearly inflated. I'm just saying the market's clearly inflated.
No, but it's not inflated. Yeah, what it is that Norwich said that they'd get rid of him for 30 odd million quid. They've put that clause in there that says they get 10% of whatever future sale is. Yeah. And this is how much Arsenal really rated him, was they went, no, we're not paying that clause if we sell him, because we could sell him after he's flopped for half the money and we've still got to give them 10%. Or it could go the other way. We sell him for £80 million and we give him 10%. The fact and reality is the geezer in the Premier League weren't even anywhere near Norwich's best player that season. Yeah, he was taking every set piece.
He wasn't anywhere near. So name me 3 players that were better than him.
3 players in their team that were better. Yeah. Number 1, Todd Cantwell.
He wasn't
better. Disagree.
Number 2, Godfrey. That's why he got his move to Everton. And number 3,
Godfrey. I don't agree with Cantwell.
Cantwell was on fire.
He scored a lot of goals, but
he scored goals.
It's about, as an attacking player, you have to have output. This geezer
I admit he's not a goal scorer. I admit that. In the Premier League, he was not a goal scorer. He was much.
He had 1 goal, and it was against Watford, who got relegated. Yeah, if that's my attacking forward, and you think Pepe's frustrated, Jesus Christ. Yeah, and the fact is, right, and this is a fact. Yeah, people seem to think that he's an attacking central mid. My little brother, he's just gone out now. He's a Derby County fan, my little brother. He watches the Championship every fucking week. And he said he's played right wing all season. Yes, he'll switch in game to the left and he'll float around at some parts of certain games. But essentially, he's a right winger. Why the fuck are we wanting a right winger when we got...
No, but Lee.
Nah, man. Don't want him.
Nah. You said your piece. But Buendia can play both positions, bro. Nobody said that he's fixed in that central attacking position. That's the beauty of having a player like him. He can play out wide when need be, and he can play centrally. You're looking at it as goals, etc.
Yeah, because I expect my attacking players to score goals.
Of course, I get that. But what I'm saying is, he could have improved on his goal tally in the league, but he can score goals. He can score goals, and more than scoring goals, he can create a ton of chances in a team that are lacking chance creation. And second of all, and then my last point is, technically he is sound. He's got a great first touch. He can dribble with the ball as well, and he works.
So can Benrahma, and he got 1 goal this season.
The thing is, if you told me who would I have, because I wanted Buendia at West Ham last summer, I would have had him over Benrahma, because not only does he have the chance creation, but he works hard off the ball, and that's perfect for us. And I think Aston Villa have done brilliantly to get him, because the balance on either side with Grealish and Buendia is quite good. And I know it's it's an inflated market. I think you've just got to pay that money. But
why is it inflated though, Corey? Because we're in a COVID market. I've been told for 18 months this ain't Football Manager. Yeah, when I'm saying I want X, Y, and Z. So how is a player that's done it in the Championship this season, how is it now suddenly inflated? I don't understand.
I'm not saying personally that he should have been a priority for you, because you have Nicolas Pepe, you have Saka who can play out wide, Aubameyang kind of drifts over there as well. You've got players that play out wide. I think you need a creator that's a bit deeper in your midfield,
Listen, Lee. Buendia is not the be all and end all for Arsenal.
Thank you.
He's not.
Nobody is saying he's the be all and end all for Arsenal. You can find a player like Buendia's skill sets or better for that price that he's cost. But what we're saying is he, in his own right, is a good player. If Arsenal,
I didn't say he wasn't a bad player. I didn't say he was a bad player. I said he's massively overrated, and he is, and he's massively overpriced. Yeah, and at the end of the day, our fan base have sat there all season cussing off Nicolas Pepe, who ended up with, if you want to go with assists and all that crap, ended up being our top GA at the club. Yeah, and people were saying he's frustrating, he's shit off the ball, he's this, he's that, blah blah blah. Well, sorry, mate. I look at your output. Yeah, and your output in the Premier League was 1 fucking goal. Yeah, you played every minute of nearly every game. If you think you played 36 games, nearly every minute of them games, and you scored 1 goal. That's Willian-esque. I'm sorry, I don't get it. But
do you not think, like, did Arsenal really want Buendia? Was it like a top target? Because I think the thing that came out of it for me was they couldn't get him. If they did want him, they didn't pay. I don't know whether they didn't pay the money or whether they didn't go over the line to go and get him. And I looked at it like Villa have beaten Arsenal to a player, which for me is a bit mad, to be fair. I thought if Arsenal come in, he'll go to Arsenal or ends up, because they're a much bigger club.
Well, there is that. I do think we were in for him, and I just think we.
And I think he's a really. I think.
Yeah, but you say we need a creator. We don't. Like, this is the thing. People are so fixated on a central attacking midfielder. Them days are gone where you've got a fucking Dennis Bergkamp or an Ozil or whoever it is playing a Kaká. Them days are gone. Football's evolved. Where is Liverpool's central attacking midfielder? They don't have one, and they just won the Champions League and the league in the last 3 years. Yeah, no, they don't have one.
Well, there's different models you can follow.
They have
Kevin De Bruyne.
They don't have one because most of their creativity comes from their fullbacks.
From the fullbacks. But you've got Bellerin at right back.
Exactly.
So
oh yeah, but we're trying to do that Liverpool mold.
You're not doing.
I don't think you are trying that, though, are you? I don't think you are trying that mold, though, are you?
Attacking fullbacks is what we've been trying to do. Overlapping attacking fullbacks, apart from Bellerin, obviously. Yeah, but this is the thing, right? This manager has been playing Smith Rowe out on the left, and everyone's wetting themselves. Oh, Smith Rowe. Play that fucker at number 10, and your chance creation will go through the roof. Because the guy gets the ball, spins, and runs at people. Why are you playing him out on the left wing when we've got Martinelli sat on the bench? We can play Pepe there. We can play Saka there. We can play Aubameyang there, even though I wouldn't. Yeah, Willian can play there. I wouldn't keep him. Then on the right hand side, this would be my front four for next season. Real talk. I'd go Saka on the right, Pepe on the left. I'd go with Martinelli up top and Smith Rowe just behind them. Tell me that ain't going to create and score chances. Yeah, of course it will. And then if somebody gets injured, you have a backup for that. I do not want to spend, as a football club, 40 million on a geezer who smashed it in the Championship. Let's not forget here, yeah? Right? He has played Premier League football. Yeah? And he is 25 years old. If he's that fucking great, why is he just signed for Aston Villa, mate?
He's just coming into his peak now.
I think with the price, the price is the only thing I agree with. I think 40 million. I think 40 million is too much money for Buendia. But honestly, listen, some players you overpay, innit? You overpay.
Yeah, but I don't want my club to overpay for somebody who's done a season in the Premier League and got the same amount of goals as Willian. Yeah, let's have that right. He scored 1 goal.
That's fine.
Yeah? And people are saying, yeah, but he's evolved his game. No, he's played in a shit division.
Well,
come on, get with it. You're playing against
let's put some respect on the best tier 2 division in the world.
Well, yeah, it is. But come on, let's be real. I could score against Luton and fucking some of them teams. Let's be honest.
Nah,
yeah?
you couldn't.
Nah, you couldn't. No.
Shut up. let's not do this here. You couldn't, man.
No, my point is,
probably need a Zenit frame just to get.
Okay, so
we're going to go and sign a player. Number one, I don't understand why we're trying to buy a player that's a right winger when we've got right wingers. Oh,
So
but
would
he
you
can
would
play
you bring in with that front four that you just structured? Would you bring in an attacker this season with the money given to you if you was to use?
what? And in what position? Because I wouldn't buy a winger. I don't think we need a winger.
So what would you bring in, a striker?
I don't think we need a striker either. It depends.
So you don't think you need any new attacking
I'd keep
reinforcements?
Aubameyang. Yeah, I'd keep him unless a big bid for 40 million plus comes in. Then I'd bin him. Yeah, I'd have Martinelli as the striker because the guy can dribble, he can run past you, he can play off the shoulder, he can play with his back to goal, he can score all types of goals, left foot, right foot header. Yeah, the guy's fucking ruthless. He'll run the channels, he'll work hard, tracking back. Right, then you've got Balogun as a backup, and you've got Aubameyang as well. There's 3 strikers. That'd be my 3. Yeah. Then I'd go with Pepe and Saka as the right wingers potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the left side you could use Martinelli if you're playing Aubameyang or Balogun up front. Yeah, or you could put Pepe out there and Saka on the right. You could rotate them 6 players quite comfortably all season. And then you've got Smith Rowe who can play behind. So, you know,
who's deputising him?
I think Guendouzi would smash it at number 10. I really do. I've said this.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
The way he
I
drives
don't know about that at all.
In your dream,
Guendouzi at number 10.
Out midfield.
Guendouzi at number 10 over Buendia.
The great Guendouzi who's being sold to Marseille.
Buendia's not a number 10. That's my point.
I prefer to have Buendia in my number 10 role than Guendouzi. I know that. Now I know Arsenal are not in Europe this season, so you don't have a lot.
There you go.
Games.
Do we need a massive squad full of big fucking overrated, overpaid players? No. Bring Guendouzi back. He's on 30, 40 grand a week. Yeah. Stick him in the squad and play him as a backup.
I feel like you do have a lack of depth in the chance creation centrally.
Smith Rowe, Guendouzi, every time he gets the ball, he tries to be positive and go forward.
He's not an attacking midfielder or even creative.
Go and have a look at some of his games. In fact, I think the last time
which games in which
I think the last time we beat Aston Villa,
he created both and won us the penalty. Blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't mean that he's good offensively, though, does it?
Huh?
That doesn't mean that he's that good offensively.
I've watched Guendouzi since he comes to the club live at the ground every single week for most of his games. I know exactly what that kid is capable of doing because I see it. Yeah, that kid will get the ball. Defensively, he's a bit sus. In fact, he's massively sus, which is why I don't want him in that Xhaka deep lying role. Because
is Xhaka gone, by the way?
Huh?
Is Xhaka gone, by the way? Is he gone yet?
I don't know if he's at the airport yet, but I can pick him up.
But
my point is if you put Guendouzi in a more advanced role, he will take the ball past people, will win free kicks, which then Pepe can stand over. He will make stuff happen where he'll get a penalty. He will maybe
he's not a creative midfielder, Lee. You know this. Come on. He's not a creative midfielder.
Well, when we played against Tottenham, he created the equaliser quite comfortably with some fucking man.
These are one-offs. This is not consistent chance creation that you're going to get like you get with Buendia.
No, that's my point. Yeah, that you're all missing. Yeah, my point is I'd have him as a backup to Smith Rowe, who is that guy.
So
not in number 10. No way.
No,
you don't want your team to prosper if you're saying
because if Smith Rowe gets injured now, suddenly you've got no creative central in your team. I think you need a central creator. I'm not saying Buendia is the answer, but you do need a central creator. Huh? Change the formation.
Yeah, maybe put Joe Willock in there instead because he can create and he can score.
He can create.
Joe Willock can create.
Joe Willock. If you give Joe Willock a chance, we've seen what he can do at Newcastle. It's just
that's more from a goal scoring perspective.
Straight goals in games.
That's more from a goal. I think that's the equivalent of saying Jesse Lingard is now a creator as well. I think in transition, when you give these guys a bit more space in teams that are not coming up against low blocks, they can score goals and they can have massive impacts in transition. But to say that they're creative now, especially when you're coming up against low blocks, is not. I don't.
Which is
interesting.
You say you have your most technical players on the wing. Yeah, with your Pepes and your Martinellis or your Sakas. Yeah, they're the wingers.
You're going with I don't know. I feel like you're going with
Aubameyang in a box.
Joe Willock is not a number 10. Let's put that. Let's.
He can play number 10, and he has played number 10 multiple times.
But he's played it as a shadow striker.
No, he has played number 10 and he stunk. He's not a number 10. Do
you watch Arsenal? Do you watch Arsenal? Because he's played number 10 quite a few times. He's a very good player.
Has it been good enough, Lee?
He's not good enough to win Arsenal a title, but he's good enough to progress us up the table. I'd rather him over most of our midfielders because at least he fucking gets it.
Lee, if you want an indication of what Joe Willock can do in the number 10 position, go watch Arsenal v Leeds. at Ellen Road and go and see that disaster class of performance.
What, one game? Like you were just saying, one game a minute.
It's one game though. I've said you said you watch. I can give you more games. What I'm saying to you is this, yeah. Admittedly, Joe Willock is not as bad as I say he is, or what is as bad as I used to think he is. But he's not a number 10, bro. If you put him in a number 10, that means he has to bring creativity to the table, and he's not bringing creativity to the table. Joe Willock is a box-to-box midfielder who can score goals. He is good at taking the ball from A and getting it to B. We've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, he's more of a box-to-box than number 10. My point is if Smith Rowe is injured, you can play him there. Yeah, you can also put Guendouzi there. Yeah, and this
I personally think the names that you're
as I said, you don't want your team to prosper, but hey,
they're not of a high enough.
You're
right. Willock and Guendouzi.
Number 10, please.
Good luck in the Conference League.
Willock and Guendouzi as your options as number 10s. That screams mid-table to me. Screams mid-table.
We are mid-table.
Okay, but do you not want to climb the league? Are you not trying to climb the league?
Mate, I've been saying for years. I've been saying for years and years and years. If Arsenal fans actually had some bollocks, we would be winning titles right now. But Arsenal fans ain't got any bollocks. We see that when there was 200-300 outside.
Have you conformed to mid-table?
When there was 10,000 of our fans in the ground. Yeah.
So have you conformed to mid-table now, and you're happy with the mid-table?
Oh, I know where we're at. I know exactly where we're at.
You seem to have accepted it if you're going with Guendouzi and Willock at number 10.
No. I didn't say that. What I said is I don't think that there'd be backups to Smith Rowe at number 10. Yeah.
My only thing is that you're putting.
My front four. I just told you what my front four was. Are you telling me that's not better than what we've had this season?
I'd have to see it, but I have to say there's a lot of pressure going on Smith Rowe and Martinelli. It sounds
pressure.
A lot of pressure. If you're
Smith Rowe is their like chief creator. Without him in that side, sometimes they just look stilted. He's a class act. He's a class act. Could you not play Saka though, number 10? If you really needed to.
Saka and Pepe can play number 10. And if I'm saying that front four that I picked is interchangeable. You can play him anywhere.
Coming from,
which is why I pick it. Lacazette plays facing the fucking wrong way, back in with his ass twerking up in the air. It's like, mate, I don't want to see you twerking. I want to see you scoring. Yeah, Martinelli can do everything that Lacazette can do. Yeah, fact, he can. In fact, he can actually do more and do it better.
Just to finalize before we move on to West Ham, I just think personally, when you've got a manager of Arteta's level, to then not have sufficient chance creators in the middle and only have one real chance creator in the middle, which is Smith Rowe, I think you're putting yourself in a very precarious position. But it is what it is. I don't think Wendy is the be all end
very quickly before we move on. Yeah, right, we've got Mikel Arteta as manager again for another season, mate. Yeah, so all the people that are sitting in the chat, like laughing, going, "This guy's deluded." Oh, why is it Arsenal fans' fault? Because you lot are all sucking off a process. Instead of when there was 10,000 of you at the ground the other week and Kroenke was actually there, you all sat there saying, "Oh, look at me! Oh, I'm back! I'm at my second home." Can I just say, your second home's your workplace, mate? Yeah, your third home, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's your third home. But the fact is, if any Arsenal fans actually had some balls, they'd demand better than Mikel Arteta as our manager. Yeah, and they ain't. Yeah, we see that they just jumped on this hype of one protest because you lot did it for a Super League. So, we'll do it bigger and better. Yeah, and they didn't bother after that. They clapped the players on the next one and started singing "What do we think of Tottenham" on the third one. Fuck off, man. Absolutely pathetic. So, excuse me if I'm just sitting here a little bit flat and a little bit fucking and like I'd rather just throw the fucking kids in the team. Fuck the transfers. I'm looking forward to England getting piped every game now. And next season, I'm on loan at Man City, bruv. I've already got my Riyad Mahrez shirt. I'm sweet.
Man City fan channel.
Before I go to West Ham, JML obviously must be watching this game behind, but he says Hakimi can play next to the striker in a formation as well. In our formation as well, he's very versatile, right wing back, right mid, right wing. Okay, I mean his goal contributions would suggest that he could, but it's not a position he's been playing very often in terms of where we're playing the tucked in attacking midfielders. So there's a lot that goes on in that role. So again, it's not something that we've seen a lot of. So I prefer that he just plays in his strongest position. But for the depth, then cool. Corey, we was talking backstage about West Ham's dealings. Tottenham, there is no dealings because they have to find a manager, and we've already spoken about Conte, who I would liken to the Wenger situation of Tottenham being very comfortable with how Arsenal were as well. Before we segued, but what's going on with West Ham transfer wise? Because you was talking about a Czech Republic certain midfielder on his way. And now what's going on?
Nothing, mate, really, to be honest. Like, it's I think it's a little bit smoke and mirrors anyway, because Moyes is on holiday. So I didn't expect us to go and necessarily get someone now. But I am a little bit disappointed that we're not making inroads a little bit on a Tammy or a Lingard, purely because they're not going to the Euros and they're not been playing. Well, Tammy's not been playing regularly for Chelsea. The Crowd deal is apparently that's smoke and mirrors. I think Moyes is going to wait until after the tournament when we've got to pay 25 rather than 15 mil to go and get him. But I think this is a huge summer for us. Irrespective of how far we go in the Europa League, we've got to go and spend money and we've got to go and build a decent squad moving forward. And I'm a little bit discouraged. I thought we were going to get Sam Johnston. Apparently now we're not going to go for him either, which I think would have been a great long-term option. Pereira, apparently someone said he's available for 15 mil, which is ridiculous anyway. So if we couldn't get Lingard, I'd be all over that. So I think we need to move a bit quicker. We've been linked with Chris Wood. I think he's a class player, to be honest. I do think he's class and he would suit West Ham. I wouldn't pay 25 million for him.
Would you prefer him or Tammy Abraham? Because Tammy Abraham's been linked with Dortmund now in a swap deal for Haaland, which we'll get onto later. So
really?
I think time is ticking. I think time is ticking if you want Tammy Abraham, because I think Chelsea are very keen on selling him and getting money for him or involving him in a deal.
I've heard we're not paying. We don't want to pay the 40 million, which I do get. I don't think he's worth 40 million. I think you are trying your luck, and I do understand it because we would do exactly the same if we was in your shoes.
You are doing the same with Declan Rice.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah, we've got to play hardball on that. Maybe that's your chip done and dusted. I think 25 to 30 mil. I would pay for Tammy. I would prefer Tammy. I think Tammy's got obviously longevity. Chris was 29, Tammy's 23. And I think we can work with Tammy and he can be a bit more malleable to this West Ham side and get players in and around him. And Lingard, we can really work to his strengths. So I think long term, he's the option. But the longer we leave this, like you say, if you go and give Tammy to Dortmund for Haaland and then we're sitting there going, oh, like now what do we do? Then we're going to have to act quickly.
Lee is very open to selling you.
Oh, do on, man. I would love us to go for Ivan Toney. But unfortunately, because Brentford have got promoted, I think it's a bit sketchy.
Unlikely, yeah. I mean, you'd have to pay Buendia type. You'd have to overpay for him.
I'd pay 30 mil. I would pay 30 mil for Ivan Toney. I know people think, oh, you paid 30 for Tammy, and Tammy arguably is a player that's got more experience in the league. But I think Toney suits us a little bit more. I think he's a little bit more ready-made. I know he hasn't scored goals in the Premier League, but anyone that's watched him play, the technical aspects are there, the link-up aspects are there. And we need someone as close to Mikel Antonio as possible, but with better finishing. And Toney isn't as mobile, but he's more intelligent.
Sorry, Corey Matisse. I need to bounce. I've got a meeting now.
No problem, bro.
Yeah, sorry, guys. See you later.
In a bit.
Yeah. But yeah, we've just got to get it done soon, Matisse. I said to you a couple of weeks ago, 7 to 8 players for me. I think, and I know people are saying some West Ham fans are saying we only need 3 to 4, which I think is a bit mad. You look how thin our squad is now. You know, Mark Noble's the only backup centre midfield we've got, so we've got to go out there and show a little bit of ambition. So I'm hoping Moisey, within the next month, we start to see stuff. Because you look at Aston Villa, I know we were digging them out a little bit about the Buendia thing, but they know he's a perfect profile of player for exactly the system that they want to play. They want Ward-Prowse, another perfect player for how they want to play. That's how you get business done. And we've got to get towards that, albeit we don't have as much money. So a bit nervy, mate, to be honest. I think if we go into August and we haven't signed a striker of any note or Lingard, then I'm going to be sitting there going into the season thinking, we could drop massively. That's the problem. We don't have the momentum anymore. We could be sort of 15, 14, 13, which I hope we're not, but it could happen.
Someone's just mentioned Origi. I definitely do believe it. I definitely do believe that you're not keen, no?
I've never got this one. West Ham are linked with him constantly. I think a few clubs are linked with Origi because he just seems like he played for Liverpool. For me, Liverpool fans, and I think Liverpool in general, think they're going to get 20, 25 for him. And I think a lot of their fringe players are worth that. For me, I wouldn't go and pay that for him. You get more value in the market for someone else, not Origi.
Someone just said Batshuayi would be good. I see what's going on here. You people are just trying to flog off your dead wood players.
No, honestly, man.
Whether that be Batshuayi, Nketiah, Origi. I
was saying, this is the thing, though. You don't want someone's cast off. You do want people that... I think West Ham have done a decent job recently of getting players in that will actually want to play for the club and play in the Premier League. Souček, Soufal, Jarrod Bowen, Ben Rama, point to prove. Those are the players that I want at West Ham. I don't want Batshuayi, who hates West Ham. I think we tried to sign him 5 times and he just will not come. So, yeah, it's just about the profile, mate. We've got to get the right profile of player.
Man. This super chat here, by the way, it's my birthday today. Happy birthday, bro. Big up yourself. You're always tuning in. And this was the super chat from Shaka about Origi, which suit West Ham. We were speaking about it before as well. Lingard, potentially as well. I think he is a deal that you'd want to get done as quickly as possible, because I think the longer that drags on, I think other clubs after the Euros might get involved. Obviously, he's not going to the Euros as well, so I think you can get that done a little bit sooner than you would have hoped for if he was at the Euros. But he made such an impact in your team, and there was such a good chemistry with him. The intangibles that we speak about, not just the quality as well, the intangibles, he seemed to fit into your team like a glove, not only on the pitch, but also just off the pitch as well. So I think bringing in someone like that would help you keep a Declan Rice, or help you keep a player, or some of these key players that we're talking about that have been linked with moves away as well. Are you worried about that one going through now?
I've heard he wants to join West Ham. I just think it's about West Ham going and spending the money and getting him. I saw some, because I was watching a lot of the England stuff in the build-up to Friday, and he put an assist in one of the World Cup games as well. And I thought, I've never rated Lingard, and I don't really know why. I think he just got that kind of reputation about him where he acts a little bit of a kid and you don't rate him as a player. And I've seen some of the stuff he does, and I think he's class. I think even for England, he didn't have a brilliant 2 games. I don't think anyone did other than probably Grealish. But just the things he does, he's perfect for West Ham. And he's a much better player. You know, just because you can't get in over the side over Mount, Grealish and Foden doesn't mean you're not a top player. So the longer it goes on, you are right, the more I worry about it. Because for me, I don't know if this would happen or not, but a team like a Leicester or an Everton, now Everton's a bit of a sleeping giant. If someone comes in there and they want Lingard, they'll pay it straight up. And we've got no recourse. So we've got to be careful. You're playing with fire in this window. That if you don't act quick enough, teams will just snap them up.
Yeah, I think this is a very important summer for West Ham, especially because you guys did outperform yourselves massively. You got the Europa League to look forward to as well. Stadium, you'd hope, would be near enough full at some point of the season when this all stops as well. It's a good opportunity to capitalise with European football, because not many London clubs that can offer that right now in terms of, do you know what I mean? So I remember when Tottenham, the one season that Tottenham were in the Champions League and no other London club were, they had posters on the tube, the only place to watch Champions League football, the new stadium. I'm telling you can rock that at Stratford. You get that going, and it could work for you. So you need to take advantage of that, especially now as well, because the other clubs are not going to have European football like Arsenal. They're going to be able to, well, you'd hope from Lee's point of view, to be able to capitalise on no games midweek. I mean, Lee's shaking his head. Are you not confident that Arsenal can capitalise on that?
The season's a write-off before it's even started with this manager. I'm so disinterested in it. It's mad. I already know we're going to get the same crap, the same PR, the same hipsters that sit on Twitter all day chatting absolute crap, and then as soon as it all goes wonky, go, oh, Cronky out. Wasters, a lot of them. The whole club's infested with divs. It is, from top to bottom. It's infested with divs. I'm so disinterested. I told you, man. And next season, we're going to finish probably about the same position, maybe lower.
Do I need to add a Man City logo into the
We'll finish lower next season. It's like Granit Xhaka. Our fan base rate this guy so highly. But if he's that cheap at 15 million, he's that great, and he's so disrespected, how comes there's only one football club in for him, and that is Roma? Just let that sink in.
I've been saying Xhaka is not good enough for the longest. I don't know where this hype of Xhaka even came from. There's nothing. There's nothing to support that Xhaka was ever good enough for Arsenal Football Club.
You know people rate him, right? And I kind of looked into it a bit because I don't really watch too much Arsenal. And then you see some of the stats and you look at the way that Arteta plays him. A lot of it's stat padding. If you're able just to sit back, pick up the ball, and listen, he's got a decent passing range. I'm not disputing it, but if you stat pad for that long and you're not contributing, then you can look like a really good player. And people will say, well, he fits into a back three and he lets our fullbacks get on. But you need Basuma. You need a mobile, a player that can be defensive but can carry the ball. And that's the way that Arteta, I think, is trying to play. But Xhaka's a myth in terms of him being a decent player. I've never really got it. And he's getting away with stat padding, I think.
We're going to get rid of Granit Xhaka and go and get Sander Berg. Like, we're linked with Neves, and our fans are like, oh, we're getting the right-footed Xhaka. Shut up, man. That guy is so clear of Granit Xhaka. It is mad. Yeah, Ruben Neves is a fucking good footballer. Like, a really good footballer, yeah? But we're not going to get Ruben Neves. I can already see it. We're going to go and get Sander Berg. Then we'll probably get Odegaard back on loan, and it'll be the Norwegian connection. Our fan base is the most cringe, pathetic fan base on the planet. I'm just so bored, man. It's literally depressing. Like, that's why I'm just going to enjoy watching other teams next season.
Speaking of the Norwegian connection, you've segued me so wonderfully, and maybe this will cheer you up. Erling generational Haaland is apparently Roman Abramovich's absolute top target. And Chelsea are really busting their neck to try and get it done. Obviously, the money that's needed to finance this deal is ridiculous. And you do tend to see transfers as big as this spread out over 2 summers. I think of Suarez, Ronaldo from Man United. It does tend to take a long time to get these deals done. You know, usually you talk the summer before and you start laying down the groundwork. But with Dortmund, you know, having to sell up the release clause the following season, it would make sense for them to capitalize on the extra cash. If we was to say give them, you know, they're going to recoup about 70 million next summer. If we was to give them 120, you know, you're making money. You're making more money than you're definitely not going to make next year. Obviously, the issue is always with Raiola as well, which is really the only downside to Erling Haaland is just bringing in that parasite into your club and having to deal with him every single contract renewal, which is not going to be fun. And obviously, he comes with his own demands as well and his own drama, as we can see when he touts around, does a European tour. But for me, personally, from a Chelsea perspective, I'll get you guys' take on it as well. I think this is just an absolute must. I said earlier in the show when we was talking about Hakimi, that striker is the number 1 priority for Chelsea. And then second would be a DM. And then after, then you can get fancy. But for me, it's got to be this striker. You've got to get him because Lukaku, you know, we don't know if that's really going to happen. It's very up in the air if that's possible. And that really is it. After that, there's nobody else. I don't really know too many other strikers on this level. After that, you're going down a level. So, I mean, what do you make of Haaland, Corey? Do you think he fits into our team, or do you think he's just one of them players that you just make room for regardless?
You make room for, man. He is generational. He's different level, isn't he? The finishes, some of the finishes he has are unbelievable. Like when I watch him play, I'm like, I don't think I've seen someone that. There are players to that level that have scored that amount of goals. But when I'm talking clinical, like the movement, everything, aerially, just finding space at that age as well. Yeah. That's the thing, Matisse. I suppose if you're a Chelsea fan, you are worried that Raiola will just try and get him to Real Madrid in 2-3 years' time if you do sign him. But the money that someone would have to pay if he performs in the Premier League, because he could go and get 30 goals. I honestly think in a Chelsea side, and you do create chances, but you just haven't been taking them.
Yeah,
he's worth 100 mil plus, and you get your money back.
You do.
He will be like Ibra a little bit, where he does that European tour. He goes around all these clubs, and it's like he turns out Haaland now. But I think he's the. I know you need a DM. I think you're okay, to be honest. I don't think that issue is too bad. You don't need Declan Rice at all. But a striker. I think that could win you the league, to be fair. With a bit of squad depth as well, I think that puts you at least in contention. So please don't get him. I do not want Craig Dawson and Ogbonna coming up against Haaland. That's my worst nightmare, man. They would struggle. Every team would.
Yeah, I just look at the chances that Chelsea create, especially from out wide when Reece James puts the ball across the box or even Chilwell, and the amount of times that we're either miskicking it or not anticipating the pass, and it's just flashing across the box, and it's there for a tap-in. But no striker really has the awareness to get on the end of it. Erling Haaland would have the awareness, and he would score probably about 10 tap-ins in the season alone, let alone all the other goals that he could score as well. Just from balls across the box and pullbacks, he'd get minimum 10 of those, I think, in the way.
The only thing, though, mate, is obviously Havertz is kind of, I'm not saying he's coming into his own, but he has settled a little bit in that. It's not really a number 9, it's a bit of a false 9 role.
Yeah.
Can he play like an inside forward? Do you know what I mean? If you bring in Haaland, you do it, right? Chelsea fan, it wins you the title. It probably gets you a few trophies. But you've got Havertz there who's improving. You're whacking him on either side. I don't know if that works. And him as a backup, I just can't see it.
Kai Havertz under no circumstance can become a backup at Chelsea. He's literally the keys to the castle in terms of what kind of signing he is. He's the marquee guy, the golden boy, as we want to call it. For me, Chelsea at times have been going with a 2-striker system. I want to get Lee's take on this as well. I personally, Lee, would rather go with Kai Havertz and Erling Haaland as your front 2 in this 3 at the back system, and Mason Mount becomes your 10 just behind them, than I would Erling Haaland and Timo Werner. And the reason behind that is that Erling Haaland likes to run in behind as well. Erling Haaland likes to stretch defenses. He literally darts into the box, head down, just darts. He's one of those guys. I don't see him as this playmaker type Harry Kane who's going to find Werner in behind. I don't feel like that's his game. His game is to be on the end of those chances, and that's what you want. You don't want Erling Haaland linking up play and then putting it in behind for Timo Werner for him to try and go one-on-one. You'd more prefer him to be one-on-one. So I think Kai Havertz is then the person that does that dropping off and linking up as he can as an attacking midfielder and puts Erling Haaland in behind. So I think if Erling Haaland comes in, yeah, Timo Werner will play games, but I think he'll play a lot less games than he has this season because of the way that they would match up. I mean, what do you think?
Where does Pulisic fit in all this?
Or Callum Hudson-Odoi. Don't forget him. He's generational and all. You got to get him in, mate.
We have got a lot of games. How many competitions are Chelsea in? Super Cup, Club World Cup, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League. 6 competitions I've counted. Is there any more?
You're not in the Community Shield, are you?
Yeah, we're not in that. So 6 competitions. It's a lot of games. There's room for rotation. However, what I must say, Lee, I know that was a jab, but I don't believe that Pulisic has done enough to be a guaranteed starter. I don't believe that Hudson-Odoi at the moment is a guaranteed starter anyway, and he probably should be either. So he's still developing. So I don't mind having them on the bench and them having to fight for their place because this is Chelsea Football Club. We're here to win. So there's competition, 100%, and injuries can happen as well. So we've got a lot of competition.
If you get Erling Haaland, I think the reason you're in for Haaland is because you've probably got the heads up that Man City are in for Kane. Obviously, excuse me. Agents and everyone and players talk, didn't they? Yeah, Man City are definitely going to try and bid for Harry Kane this summer. And if they get Kane, that's game over unless you act.
Yeah.
Because I think you're the only one who can even get anywhere near competing with them if they get Kane. So you have to do something. And Kane's obviously proven he can do it in the Premier League. But I have no doubt if you get Erling Haaland, man, that is some madness. Yeah, like to go and get him, yes, you may pay extra, but it still ain't over the odds. Even if it is 50 million more than his release clause next season. So, and he'd smash it, man. What is he, 20? 21?
Yeah, 20,
You could literally have that guy in your team for a decade. It's mad.
I do think he's the kind of player that will move on, but I get you,
It's crazy. And I agree. I'd go with Havertz and him rather than Werner and him. And I like Werner. I think Werner's all right, but he'd be a good off the bench striker, wouldn't he? Or off the bench player. Same with what's his name? Pulisic. A bit of impact, bit of pace, bit of trickery. So I think and the thing is, if you get Haaland and they get Kane, that's game over to everyone for the next 5 years.
This is my thing. This is the point that you make. We cannot afford for Man City to get Harry Kane and we don't get Haaland. Because if that happens, then the title's done. I've said it before. If Man City get Harry Kane, the title race is over. If we don't get a marquee striker and we get one of these second fiddle guys, the title race is done. It wouldn't even be fair to even ask us to try and win the title with Harry Kane in Manchester City's team. Do we realise how illegal that is? We talk about Hakimi being a cheat code. Harry Kane in Man City's team, popping them off from 25 yards, dropping deep, or in the box for those tap-ins, it would be a cheat code.
Do you know what the worst thing is? Do you know what the worst thing is as well? When you let Kane drop as well, Foden will get forward, and if they've got like their number 8s, and De Bruyne will be really. And I actually keep your eye on that Grealish thing because I've heard Man City really.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
And if they get him in and they try and ship a few, I've heard they're trying to get rid of Sterling or Bernardo Silva. Then that's a real problem because.
Do you want me to paint the picture? Grealish left wing, Mahrez right wing, Harry Kane, and then De Bruyne, Foden, and then you're holding midfielder against low blocks. Can you imagine?
That's disgusting.
Can you imagine that?
Low blocks for us, mate. At Man City away. No, we ain't getting that.
Can you imagine? Can you actually imagine it? Because they are seriously tracking Grealish. Yeah.
It's going to be exciting, bruv. I'm going to be seeing loads of goals next season, aren't I?
Oh, you're a man. Yeah, look at you.
I'm on one, mate. I've already started to go with the blue. Like I've got a bit of blue on today. Do you know what I mean?
That is genuinely disgusting. If that what I just said there, if that is even possible, I'm sure one of them will be on the bench and there'll be a bit more balance with Gundogan coming in for one of those attacking midfielders. But even the possibility of that is just not legal in the slightest. So Chelsea have to be serious with Haaland, and they have to try and get over the line because we just to keep pace with them. This is not even to win the league. I think this is just to actually keep up at this point if they were to get Harry Kane. I was going to ask you guys as well. There seems to be this notion that Haaland versus low blocks would be a problem. I personally don't believe so, and I'll tell you why. First of all, he can be a penalty box striker if you need him to be. Like the amount of chances we create against low blocks, whether we're coming from out wide with the crosses or we're creating chances through the middle and you're just slipping it into someone who just needs one touch to pull the trigger, or sometimes no touch to pull the trigger. As long as you're quick at making your decision and pulling the trigger and shooting in tight spaces, which I think he can do, and as long as you have the awareness and the anticipation to get on the end of crosses with your head or with your foot, you can defeat low blocks with that. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be this perfect striker when it comes to link-up play in terms of your, I don't know, a Harry Kane or a Sergio Aguero. Of course, that helps, but he doesn't have to be that low sense of gravity type striker. I mean, what do you think, Corey, in terms of that? Because people always throw that notion out there.
It's tough, isn't it? Dealing with a low block, I go back to the Arsenal game when they beat you. It's kind of you find spaces, right? You do create chances. So you'll never find a striker that's brilliant at beating a low block unless maybe they're a false nine and they're dragging you out and people going beyond. I actually think the way you could use Mount and the way that sometimes he gets up around the forwards and then creates those overloads is going to pull teams out of position anyway. And Haaland needs a little bit of space. And listen, Timo Werner, albeit, I think you've got to give him some credit because he is making those right runs to make the space for other people. Yeah. That is the way that's why maybe as that partnership, possibly, if you did play that way, would get Haaland in a little bit more. And we don't know. We're sitting here talking like it's going to be the Chelsea of this season. If you brought Hakimi in, who's to say you're not stretching it more? Who's to say that it's not a little bit more, there's more width in there and people have to go out and try and win the ball? I don't see that's an issue.
There's a bit more space in the middle.
Haaland's that good, right? He's in a top bracket. You look at, people might say, well, Harry Kane can't beat a low block. Doesn't matter. The minute he gets a bit of space in the box or in and around, he's scoring. For me, it's the same with him, Lewandowski, Haaland. They'll all, the minute you get a chance, you'll score. So I wouldn't really write that one off. It's more how you play as a team as opposed to how that striker fits in.
Yeah, this is why I'm quite keen on sticking with the wing backs, because I think they do stretch teams a lot. And if you've got someone as dangerous as Hakimi out on the right and then Shaw on the left, you can't leave Hakimi in acres of space on the right side. You have to go out to him, and that creates space in the middle. So as long as you have players that are fast thinking and can maneuver the ball quickly in tight areas and work that space, I think you can break it down. I think the last thing was that Fabrizio Romano just tweeted apparently Chelsea have basically what we've already confirmed. Chelsea are looking to match PSG's bid, and they're talking behind the scenes with Hakimi's agent or whoever's representatives or Inter Milan or whoever it may be to try and get the deal done. But it's not really an update. That's kind of what's already been said. We're going to wrap up soon. Lee, before we do, final thoughts. How are you feeling going into the summer? You got loads of ITKs or IDKs in the Arsenal fan base. You've got the Euros in England and lovely things to look forward to after that absolutely gripping, entertaining performance against Romania. Talk to me.
I call them DICKs, bruv. Yeah, that's what they are, because they ain't got a Scooby. It's funny how nobody knew that Matt Ryan was signing, but I did. So I mean, and everyone's good.
Maybe you should start ITK. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Mate, it's funny because
you could use the little alarm emoji.
Yeah, nobody knew we were signing him, but I put out a tweet the day before or 2 days before saying Matt Ryan incoming. Yeah, nobody knew. How did I know? Oh yeah, because I actually know. That's why. These people are clowns.
Be an ITK, please. Come on.
Shall I do it? A big banter, innit? But
I'd love to see it.
No, do you know what? I don't watch international football apart from a tournament. Yeah, so I didn't watch the game the other night. I didn't watch the one before that. I put on Poland versus Iceland yesterday. I watched 5 minutes and turned it off. It was shocking. Yeah, I was like, literally can't be asked with it. So I am looking forward to the Euros though. And I will be doing loads of content as well, but I'm not going to be doing mad amounts of watch-alongs and stuff. I can't be asked. Just generally can't be bothered. So I'm just enjoying uploading at the moment. Yeah. So yeah. But as for England, sorry, my throat's killing me, by the way. As for England, that's probably why I've done about 4 litres of water since I've been on it. I'll be pissing all afternoon now. But as for England, we'll be lucky to get out of the group, mate. Yeah, great squad.
Well, I think we'll get out of the group.
Forward. But don't be shocked if Scotland beat us. They're unbeaten in 5.
They won't beat us, surely. I think we'll get out of the group.
This is the arrogance, you know what I'm saying? That arrogance.
No, I'm not being arrogant, but you didn't. Come on, you didn't expect England to beat
I'd expect Arsenal to beat Burnley, bruv, as well.
Oh, this is what.
And this is one of the very few managers on the planet that I wouldn't have over Mikel Arteta. So
wow, that is not few and far between. Jesus Christ.
And this is the thing, right? I've seen Roy Keane and Michael Richards saying we're getting semis. Maybe they had a semi
that's not happening.
because, like, real talk, we ain't getting past the first knockout stage.
I'm surprised Roy Keane's saying that, considering he's Irish. He has no allegiance.
He's got to hype it up a little bit, isn't he? He's got to get people into it.
Doesn't really. His whole gig is being quite pessimistic. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, but he still dug out Jordan Henderson. I don't know if you lot saw that the other day.
Yeah,
I loved it. It was good for me. It's good crack. But I know, like, you watch England play, and I watched the first game against Austria, and I thought, what are we trying to play like? I don't understand. And then there's a little bit against Romania where I was like, okay, I get it. It all comes down to squad selection for me. He's got to play the right players, and those are Grealish, Foden, and Mount, and get them all in there. If he goes with Sterling or Rashford, then I am a bit worried, to be fair. Even Henderson doesn't look fully fit.
Do you feel like we might need runners though with that? Because the issue with England is that Kane as well loves to drop deep.
But that's what's so annoying, bro.
And he doesn't need to. Someone needs to tell him this is not Tottenham.
I watched it the other day and I thought, why is he dropping back? And you can tell Gareth's gone, don't worry, Harry, just play how you do for Tottenham. I go, Gareth, that doesn't work unless someone goes, use that. But I think Phil Foden can play that role a little bit. I think he can get him beyond possibly. Okay, Grealish maybe less so, but I doubt Mount, to be fair.
I'd go. What would your front four be, Corey? Because I'd go Kane up front. I'd go Foden right, Mount in the middle, and Grealish left.
Yeah, I think I'd Foden on the left and Grealish on the right, because I think Foden, even though it's Grealish's natural position, I think Foden is a bit more effective on that left-hand side. But I think you've got to play that way. I just think there is a lot of naivety in the way that he's playing, even with the two defensive midfielders. Like, he'll just say to both of them, press. You don't press Bellingham and Rice. Either Rice sits and Bellingham goes, or they both sit. You don't try and play in between. We look vulnerable in both those games. And I know people will say it's friendlies and you're not playing the right personnel, but that'll come back to bite us. I'm telling you, against a Croatia or even in the knockout stages, because if we win that group, we've got Portugal, then we could get Croatia or Spain, then we can get like Germany or someone. It's nuts. They will rip us apart if we're that naive. And he will go to a back three as well, which is a shame, because then I think you lose a Grealish or you lose even a Mason Mount, which you've got to play Mount.
He'll play Mount. We know that anyway.
But then would you play Mount? Because if Mount plays, I think we're going to play 3-4-3. So he's going to have to play on one of the inside forward roles. And I think he's better in a number 10. He can come back and
he's been great in the inside forward role for Chelsea. But listen, I agree with what you're saying. I would like to play that 3, but I think there's a massive issue of Harry Kane still dropping deep like he does for Tottenham, and therefore then we don't have a presence in the box. And he needs to just be up top. That needs to be his role. I mean, we got him in the team to score goals. We don't need him to link up play. We have creators. Tottenham don't have any creators. That's why he needs to drop deep. So, yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it's going to go. But I agree with Lee. I'm not optimistic. I think it's going to end in not even a heartbreak, because just who's really.
We'll lose to Croatia. We'll beat Czech Republic, and we'll probably maybe draw against Scotland. We'll fluke our way out the group somehow, and we'll get knocked out in the first knockout round.
Yeah,
we'll be home disgraced. Grealish wouldn't have played hardly any minutes. Harry Kane would have blanked. Harry Maguire probably end up getting nicked. Like,
start number 5.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh my god!
I'm going France, mate. France all day long. They're gonna hammer it comfortably.
Yeah, I think France are definitely the clear favourites. Sam says Haaland and Hakimi linked up at Dortmund. Did they? Maybe not for very long though. I don't.
No, they did. They did.
Maybe they did for a little bit. Was it one season?
Mate, I watched it. It was the first game. It was the first game back from when everything was locked down, and I remember watching Hakimi and Haaland, and it's an unreal link up. But I think it was only half a season.
Yeah, I think we're not even half a season. Maybe just about, if that. Big up Lee, Chelsea fans in the Rat Army, so we can beat Arsenal when they are at least decent. And listen, I'm not gonna lie. The worse Arsenal become, the more difficult it seems for us to play them. So that's another thing. Over 1,308 of you in here. Smash the likes, people. Let's try and get 1,000 likes on this stream. We've covered a lot, whether it's Antonio or
Buendia. Where did he go?
He had a meeting. Do you know what? We might have to move the time of the stream because he's always got
just kick him off, bro. If he can't commit, we'll get a proper Tottenham fan in here. Do you know what
I mean? You'd miss him though. You'd miss him.
It's too funny. Leave him in it.
Imagine if we got Fred. We got Fred instead. I love Fred as well, but I feel like we can't do that to Toby. We might have to move the time of the show because he's always got work and he's trying to juggle the two. Bless him. And but yeah, I mean that's basically the show, people. Make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new. The links will be in the description for Lee, for Corey West Ham Way, for Toby as well, TapinTobs. Corey, what content you got coming out, bro, over the next? Are you back on your regular schedule, or are you on?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, I'm going to try and give it a bit of leeway with West Ham until something concrete comes out. But I'll be doing some Euro stuff, trying to cover favourites, possible Golden Boot winners, little bits and bobs, mate. But I am looking forward to it. Literally 2 weeks without football. I'm like, please, can we just get it back on the telly? So I will enjoy it, even if it isn't England. I know England are going to wind me up no end. So yeah, you can keep an eye on all that on West Ham.
There you go. So the links are in the chat. They've gone in there now as well. Thank you so much, Aduma the Goat, for doing that. Victor's also here as well. Love that. So the links are in the chat, guys. Make sure you go and subscribe. And make sure you subscribe here if you're new. Try and get to 14.4. And I'll see you guys tomorrow as per usual. Or you can eat Chelsea. Arteta out continues. And big up Antonio Conte for realizing that you're better than that.